Do you ever wonder if what you're doing today is the thing that God has created and called you to do? Today, we are looking at 5 talents that you have right now, today, that could potentially be the window into the life that God has for you. So, are you ready to learn what those are? Well, let's get to it. Hey, y'all. Welcome to episode 25 of the Well Done Women podcast. My name is Brittany Bruce. I am the founder of Well Done Women. We're a membership community that is opening up very soon. Fall registration is opening up soon, so get excited. And what we do is we take Christian women, believers, ministry leaders, entrepreneurs, creatives, and we help them get clarity in what they're called to do and give them the tools, the knowledge, the coaching, the community of like minded women, and we help them move forward to building their business and being successful in it and growing in it. And that's what we're all about. We're out to hear a well done. If fame and fortune happens, it happens. But at the end of the day, we are out to serve God, serve people, and hear a well done at the end of every day. Today, I'm really excited because we're going to continue talking about the parable of the talents. We're going to talk about the 5 talents that you have today. But before we do, I want you to get inside of our online workshop. It is the 6 steps on how to build, grow, and start your new online business. I'm literally sharing all of my secrets. It's the same content that I walk my private high-end coaching clients through. It's what I walk my course students through, and you can have access to it right now for free. All you got to do is go to welldonewomen.com/workshop. You got 1 hour, and it could potentially change the trajectory of your life. So get excited, jump into that workshop. And I have another really fun announcement. Today, we are starting a huge giveaway because we're opening doors to Well Done Women. Our fall registration is opening September 5th, which is next week. And so this week, we're having a huge party. We are doing a huge giveaway to those who are on our wait list. So if you sign up for our wait list to get inside of our membership, we are doing a giveaway. One blessed and lucky winner is going to win 1 free year. That's like a $500 value, 1 full year of the Well Done Women membership, but you got to be on the wait list. I know there's about 200 of you who already are. So go ahead, join the wait list if you're interested in learning more about Well Done Women and winning a full year for free. It doesn't matter if you're a new member on the wait list or if you're already in the membership, but you joined the wait list last time. Whoever's on the wait list, we're pulling names, well, actually one name, to win 1 full year of the membership. So get excited, get on the wait list, go to welldonewomen.com/membership to learn about our community, learn what we teach, what we preach, who we are, and join the wait list to win 1 full year of being inside of our membership. So, are we ready? Are you ready to learn about the 5 talents that you already have? You don't even know you have them. I'm going to teach them to you today. So, in 2018, let me give you a insight on my life in 2018. In 2018, I was a full-time wedding photographer. Full-time. I was doing about 30 weddings a year. So I was full-time. I was working really hard. I had 3 babies under 3, my 3 boys, Noah, Brody, and Joe. They were little toddler babies. And I was pregnant with our 4th baby, Bonnie, our little girl. And at that time, we were building our dream home. So we were essentially homeless, living with my parents. All 5 of us, plus Bonnie inside of me, we were living out of my bedroom at my mom's house. We were building on family property, so right next door, building our beautiful farmhouse, modern farmhouse dream home. And life was pretty good. Life was really fulfilled. Life was good. But at 20 weeks, I went into premature labor with Bonnie. I started having contractions. And so my OB put me on bed rest starting at 20 weeks. He's like, you are not standing 12 hours on your feet every Saturday for the remainder of your pregnancy. And so I had to essentially give up $40,000 worth of weddings that I had to finish out my pregnancy with. I had $40,000 worth of weddings I had to give away, find a new wedding photographer for these poor brides. And what was really hard is that we were building a house. And if you've ever built a house, not only is it super high stress, but you're spending way more money than you had ever thought. I don't know what happens. I don't know who drops the ball. It was probably me, in the process that we're like, "Oh no, let's upgrade to that. Let's upgrade to that. Let's get the shiplap everywhere." Um, but we were dropping bombs. We were spending lots of money. And then I had to basically be jobless, incomeless. We were homeless. I was about to pop out a new baby. And so I knew that price increase was coming. I had three under three, and I knew that I had this feeling that there was a shift coming. I knew that there was a shift coming in my business. Like I had thoughts and dreams about hosting workshops and teaching photography, but I wasn't quite ready yet. I wasn't ready yet. I still had a lot of weddings to shoot. I was loving what I was doing. And at that time, I was feeling extremely overwhelmed, extremely desperate, broke as a joke. I was like, God, what are you doing? What are we doing here? Like, we're doing everything that we're called to do. We're making babies. We're homeless, living with a mom. We're building our dream home. And I felt this like feeling of helplessness. I felt this feeling of like, I thought my life was going down this route, and now it's looking differently. I thought my life was going to be this way, and now it's looking differently. And I know that a lot of you are in that season right now, whether it's because, God has called you out to it, or because there's just a huge shift, huge transition in your life, whether it's known or unknown or planned or unplanned. And the question is when you're in the middle of this transition and this shift, what do we do if we need to make money to support our family, but what we feel like what we have is not enough? Like if you're on, bed rest, metaphorical bed rest, where you're like, I have nothing to give. I literally can't do anything. What am I doing? I feel like, I'm doing this one thing, but God is calling me to this. Or maybe you don't know what he's calling you to, but you just feel helpless. You feel hopeless. What do we do when we're in a place that we didn't plan, that we didn't ask for, but we know that we're called? At the end of the day, it's really, really tempting to just be like, I'm piecing out. I'm giving up. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to lay here on bed rest and do nothing. If you feel like that, I want to encourage you with this episode, because I truly believe that God has given you everything that you need to do what you're called to do, not later, not when you're better, not when you've grown, but today, right now, with what you have. You have everything you need to do what you're called to do today. And in Matthew 25, we're going to dig right back into the parable of the talents. Matthew 25, today we're going to talk about verses 14 and 15. Last week was all about 14. Today is all about 15. It says, "For it is just like a man about to go on a journey, who called his own slaves, the people that he loves, that they belonged to him, and he entrusted them with his possessions. To one, he gave 5 talents. To another, he gave 2 talents. And to another, he gave 1 talent, each according to his own ability." Today, I want to focus on the giving, what he has given us today. 5 things, 5 talents that I truly believe that every single one of us has right now. And let me give you some nerding out session real quick. So a talent, I've done a lot of research on this, and multiple, theologians and experts all have a different uh response to exactly what a talent is. But in essence, it's a weight of money. That's what it is. It's a weight back, what Jesus was talking about in this parable. It's a weight of money, like how much money weighs. It's a weight of money. And some experts believe that it is about 15 years of income. Okay. So think of your income right now, multiply that by 15. Some are saying it's 20 years of income. So again, take your income right now and multiply it by 20 years. And then other experts are just like simplifying it all. And those are my people. And they're like, listen, one talent is about equivalent to today's $1 million. It doesn't matter. Like, this is the kind of thing that theologians argue over and like the church is broken up about. I ain't worried about the exact measurement. All I really care about is that one talent is extremely valuable. It's extremely valuable to God. And so I believe that we all have at least 5 talents that I'm going to walk you through, 5 talents. And I want you to consider them as something extremely valuable. I sometimes tell my students, like, listen, girl, you are sitting on a $1 million talent. You are sitting on a $1 million talent because one talent is equal to $1 million. And this isn't like prosperity gospel. I'm just trying to explain to you how valuable you are in the eyes of the one who created you. And that you were not meant to just sit back on bed rest. You were meant to go out and use your talents for his glory and for the good of others and to help you support your family. That is the nature and the character of the one who's created us. And so, what I'm hoping that we can do today is I can open your eyes to see what your 5 talents are. Because the lie is, I don't have what it takes. I feel helpless. I don't have what I need to do what I'm called to do. So I'm going to wait until the right time. But the truth is, you have everything you need to do what you're called to do right now, today. And so if you're an excuse maker, you're going to hate this episode. If you're somebody who's like, well, I'm going to wait for the fall. I'm going to wait for the kids to get back in school. I'm going to wait for the election to be over with. I'm going to wait to the new year because new year, new me, new you, new life. No, we're done with the excuses. Jesus is coming back. If you listen to the previous episodes, we don't got time to waste. Okay. So the question is, what talents have you been given today? This is about to change your perspective. Here we go. Number one, we need to stop overlooking and hiding our actual talent. Our first talent that we're going to talk about is the actual talent that you have. What is a talent? A talent is your natural God-given attributes, your abilities, your strengths. So the question is how can you use your talent or talents, my multi-talented people, to serve God and to serve people right now, today? 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received, because like we said in the last episode, we didn't ask for this. We didn't strive for this. We didn't want this. It's just what we have. It's what we've been given. We have it as a gift. Our talents, it's what God has allowed and God has given because he loves us so much. Here's what we have. It's a gift of what we received to serve others. So I'm going to read that again. Each of you, all of us, you, me, whoever's listening, whoever's watching, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. There's a million different talents that he has given his million different servants and daughters. So what is your talent? Being inside of our membership community, I have a course that they walk through where they get super clear on who they were created to be. And I'm going to give you a little glimpse inside of this to study our story, to study the creation of the people that we are. And the first question that I want to ask you, that I ask my students all the time is, listen, friend, what comes easily to you? And you wonder why in the world your friends and family struggle with it. Write this down. This is going to be a glimpse into your calling. What comes easily to you? And you're like, why does everybody else struggle with this? something that comes easily to me. And I'm like, Mama, why aren't you making a cooking show and a cookbook? Like, my mom is literally the best cook in the entire planet. If you have come to any of our retreats, or if you've come to my house, you have experienced Mama T's cooking. And I'm like, Mama, why don't you just make a cookbook? Where's your YouTube channel? Like, you could be the next Pioneer Woman and better because your food tastes really good. I feel like one of my talents is jumping into things I know nothing about. I think that's one of my talents because I've done it throughout my whole life. It's like I jump and then I'll wait for a parachute to catch me somewhere. Like, one of my talents is jumping into things that I know nothing about, like entrepreneurship, like online business, like photography, like motherhood, like marriage, like podcasting. I know nothing about anything that I'm doing right now, and I just jump into it. And that my students and my family and my friends are like, "How do you just do that?" I don't know. It's just who I am. It's one of my talents that God has given me, and I'm receiving it. And now I'm helping other people jump with me. Jump to, even if it's not a talent that they possess, I help them make the jump. I help them start, rip the band-aid, go forward, and I cheerlead and rah-rah them on. Another thing that my friends and family ask me about sometimes is minimizing and organizing. It's something that I love to do. It's something that comes easily to me. I like to take chaos and make it simple and minimal. And I do that in my courses and coaching as well. I take chaos when my students sit and we're on a Zoom call together, or when they come in for private coaching at like a 2 day. One of the first things that I do is I let them just word vomit to me. And essentially, what I'm doing is I'm taking all of their chaos. I'm picking out words. I'm taking the things that they're telling me that I know doesn't belong. That I'm like, that's unnecessary. We're not going to even waste our time there. And I simplify and minimalize what I see that they're called to do and who they're called to be, and the best route that they can take. Like, that's just a talent that I didn't ask for. I didn't work for. It's just what I have. It comes easily to me, and I wonder why everybody else can't do it. So what about you? What comes easily to you, and you wonder why other people can't do it? And this can be regarding business, but just think about it in your life. Because everything in our life, like I just said, I organize closets for my mom every time I go down there. I organize her pantry because it's a mess, right? Like, I help my friends take the crap out of their house that's just making things junky and full, and I help minimize their space, and I do that in my business for my people, for my students. So think of it that way. What are your talents? Because it doesn't matter what it is, it can translate to your ministry and to your business and to your life. The second question I want you to ask is, what do you enjoy doing? What do you love to do? What are your passions? This is a window into seeing your talents. What do you enjoy doing? I know teaching is what I'd like to consider one of my talents. I love to do it. I can't wait to do a podcast episode. I can't wait to teach at my workshops. I can't wait to host another retreat, which is coming, by the way. I can't wait to host another retreat because I get to teach all day long for 3 full days. What do you love to do? That's a window into seeing what you're called to do. Another thing that I love to do is decorating and curating spaces to make people feel something. This is why I truly believe that retreats and workshops and these in-person events is something that I know God is calling me to do, because I love every second of it. I love teaching at them all day. I love curating the space so people can experience the fullness of the Holy Spirit. I like putting beautiful things. That's why we have it at luxury beach houses, because it's like, man, that's just set up. It's set up. It's the space is already curated, and I get to just teach. I love setting up my home. I love creating when I was a teacher, when I taught public school in 5th grade, I loved the summer, and no other teacher was at school. at summertime, except me, because I spent the whole summer making my classroom look beautiful. I mean, my classroom was the best classroom in the hall because I love curating spaces. So I'm going to ask you again, what do you love to do? This is a window into your calling. The third question I'm going to ask under helping you identify your talents. That's what we're doing in this first question is helping you identify your talents, which is number one, which is your talent, is during your free time. You have a Saturday where you're not working, you don't have to prepare for anything. You don't have it's like you have a full day. You don't have to do anything. What would you do when there's nothing required of you? What would you do? What would you read about? What would you watch on TV? Like think about the topics or the things that you would do, study, read about, learn about. For me, if I had a given Saturday with nothing to do, sounds really lame. I would spend it reading and learning stuff because my favorite thing to do is to teach the stuff I learn. And then I would do it at the beach because I love going to the beach. And especially if I could have a friend, like if I could have my husband or a friend to be with me as I learn the stuff that I can say, like, oh my gosh, friend, did you know this? Did you know about this? I would eat with my people. I would eat with them. I would sit at the beach with them. I would learn stuff and teach. So if you had a free day, what would you do? I would then probably like clean out my whole house, organize every single room because that would make me so happy. And if you're struggling with this first category, this first talent, because we got four more. The first talent is just identifying a talent. If you're struggling with this, ask the people who know you, not like your acquaintances, but ask the people that know you. Ask your husband, ask your mom, ask your dad, ask your siblings. Like, hey, what are my talents? And then ask them this, and this is a fun question, this is a bonus. Ask your parents, what came easily to me as a kid? Because here's the God's honest truth that we were created and formed at conception. We can all agree with that, which means God has given us talents and strengths and abilities from the day we were conceived and born. So your talents could be manifested as you were a kid, or they were, and then life got in the way. Teenage drama got in the way. The boyfriend got in the way, and then like your talents got kind of pushed down and hidden. So ask your parents, what was I really good at as a kid? I'm seeing this already with my kids. Like Brody Bruce is going to be an author and a preacher, or he's going to end up in jail. One of the two. Okay. Because he's a leader and he pushes buttons and he pushes boundaries, but his gifting from the moment he was 2 years old was storytelling. And now he's writing and he can take information and make it a story. And he loves to preach on Saturdays. We do Saturday morning, Bruce Sunday. Like they play church in our living room and Brody's the preacher and they sing songs and it's a whole thing. Um, I already see his talent. So ask your parents, what was my talent as a kid? That can help you get insight into this first talent. And then ask your audience. Ask the people following you. If you have an Instagram following or a Facebook following or a Facebook group, ask your following. You can say, hey, ask me anything. You can ask me any question about anything. They're going to give you a window into what they see you're talented in. They're going to ask you about your marriage, or they might ask you about how do you have time, such good time management? How do you do this? Let your audience who don't really know you, their questions gives you insight on what other people see that you're good at. It could be ask me anything. It could be doing the question like, hey, if I could help you with anything in your life, what would it be? Let your audience give you a glimpse into how other people see you and see what you're good at. Okay. Now, so number one is talent, which is a window to, we're talking about five. Number two is your treasure. And I'm going to just let you know right now, all of these start with T because I was raised by a pastor. I apologize. It's just how I'm wired. So the first one is talent. The second talent is your treasure, the resources you have, the stuff that you have today, financially, physically, So look around you. How can you use your treasure, your stuff, your resources to serve God and people? Because we learned last week that when we serve people, we are serving Jesus. So look around. What do you have? When Moses was arguing with God about, doing what he was called to do to go free the Hebrews from the Egyptians, and he was like, Lord, like, I can't talk right. I've got nothing. And he's like, dude, I gave you a staff. Use your staff. So look around you, like, what staff do you have? Use the staff in your hand. Stop making excuses that you can't because you don't have what she has. Open your eyes and look around. What do you have? When I started Well Done Women, I had this like big dream of hosting retreats and conferences for female entrepreneurs who love Jesus. We would worship, we would we would have preaching, we would have teaching, and then we would have like business, like strategizing. So it's like the mixture of my worlds. It's like that was the big dream. But at the beginning, I didn't have 4 or 5 grand to spend on a beach house. I also didn't have a team to help me with a conference. Now I can see kind of how the Lord is placing people in my life for that. But what I did have in that season was my house. And we hosted a workshop here at my house. And we had worship and we had teaching and we had preaching and we had prayer and we dug into our business. I'm doing it again this week. You'll see if you follow me on Instagram or the Well Done Women Instagram account, you'll see the workshop happening in my home because listen, I might not have the means to drop 3 grand on a beach house or have a team to help me with a conference, but I have a house. I have a workshop. What treasures do you have right now? Use what you have and the talents, use your treasures and talents to do something to serve God and to serve the people that He has put a burden on your heart for. What do you have? The third talent that you have is time. You have time right here, right now, and you have a place and space. So, what time and places and spaces have you been given to use your talents and your treasures to serve God and to serve people? You might be in a season where your time and space may be dedicated to your job, your workplace, the office He's placed you in. How can you use your time and space and place and the people that He's already surrounding you with on a day-to-day basis to serve them with the treasures and talents that you have? Or you might be like me. We work at home, which is amazing. I love it. That is the beauty of online business. You may be like me, you work at home, and the best place that we can use our talents and our treasures and what we can offer is online, in the online space, in podcasting, with YouTubing, with social media. Or you might be in like this transition season of like this transition time where you might be in one season and being called to another season, and you're able to serve God and serve people at the same time in both seasons. So when I was hosting photography retreats, I was hosting a photography retreat every 3 months, which is a lot. It was a lot of photography retreats. And the whole purpose of the photography retreats was to help them grow their photography business, to help them like get better in their skill, to meet other photographers in our community, and to help them grow their business. But when I knew that God was calling me into ministry, when I knew God was calling me into preaching, guess what I did at my photography retreats? I preached. I incorporated scripture. I prayed over the women who are struggling to grow their photography business. I was able to serve them in that season, even though I knew there was a transition out of photography land into ministry and online business, but I was able to serve them where I was at that day in that place that I was at in that season I was in. When we had Comfy Chic Boutique in Watson, the whole purpose of it was to sell clothes, to provide comfortable, casual clothes that didn't show your belly or your butt. But when I knew God was calling me to preach, I had that space. I had that time that I was there from 10 to 6. I had that time. So we played worship music on the TV. When people entered, they felt the presence of the Holy Spirit and they didn't really even know that that's what that was. We were able to pray over people because when they're shopping and you ask them questions, they start spewing everything. It's called retail therapy, right? So and then we decided to host Bible studies there. And again, I was able to do what I was called to do in the transition season. I didn't have to wait to get a pulpit. Your time and space right now is the place that God has you. It's part of your calling, it's part of your purpose. Use the talents and the treasures that you have to put it in the places in the time that you're given. So, how can you use your talents and your stuff and your treasures, the things that you have in your transition, in the time that God has given you? The fourth talent that um, might be a little difficult for you to see as a talent is your trials. We talked a little bit about last week how God uses your pain for your purpose. I truly believe that God uses our trials that we walk through to serve the people he's called us to bring glory to his name. If we believe Romans 8:28, we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. We can be confident that our pain and the stuff that we go through can still be used to serve God. It still can be used to help and serve the people that we're called to. Listen, I don't know why I struggle with an autoimmune disease. I don't know why I struggle with depression. I don't really know why. He hasn't told me why. I've asked him many times why I struggle physically, but what I do know is I've been able to help other people, other Christians who have gone through depression because there's a stigma around that in Christian world. Like we're not allowed to struggle and suffer. We're not allowed to be depressed because we've got the glory of the Lord. And yes, that's true, but also there's chemical things in our brain that happen. And I'm able to help and connect with those people on a level that other maybe Christian leaders can't connect with them on. And I'm able to give God glory when he comforts me in my depression. If you listen, I think it was episode 22, 23, I talk about my struggle with depression and how God comforted me when I knew I had to still show up and do this podcast. That's giving glory to him. I'm bragging on God. It's nothing that I did. I didn't go to some, 7 levels to get out of depression. No, I worshiped and God met me where I was. And I gave him what I had. I gave him my loaves and fishes. I gave him my hands and I said, I'm worshiping you. I'm commanding myself to worship, even though I don't want to. I don't feel like it. And he comforted me there. I don't know why I have a child with special needs. I don't know why. I don't know. But what I do know is that Joe single handedly has been the number one Christian influencer in my life. Joe's life at 7 years old has been able to completely change my mindset on the God who created him. Because I'm reminded every time that I see Joe that it's not what he can do for me. It's not that he can get, straight A's, graduate, from Harvard and marry the best gal. And it's not any of that. It's Joe is doing exactly what he was created to do. And he is exactly who he's created to be. And our life isn't about the American dream. Our life is service to God alone. So I don't know why you go through trial after trial after trial, but what I do know is that God is good. And he's going to use your trials to strengthen you, to equip you for the plans and purposes that he has for you. So, what are your trials? What have you gone through? What have you been given that you can ultimately serve other people with, help them at a level other people can't, and bring glory to his name. Which then leads me to our last and final talent. So, to recap, we've got your actual talent, the abilities, the God given things that you're just good at and you don't know why and you didn't ask for it, you didn't strive for it. It's just who you are. Your treasure, the stuff that you have, the money that you have, the home, the stuff, the treasures that you have, the time that you have in the transition seasons and in the places that he's given you, the trials. And last but not least, the talent that you're sitting on is your testimony. What is your testimony? How can you use your testimony to bring more glory to his name and to help others? You've not only got a salvation testimony, you have daily testimonies. You have weekly testimonies. It might be seasonal or yearly, big and small. We overcome life by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. What is your testimony? My friend, Christy Braddock, she is a well done women student. She's about to launch her brand and coaching program. It's called Shine. Go follow her on Instagram. And her whole brand is about how to curate and share your testimony. And the way that she defines testimony, I had talked to her yesterday, and in her freebie, she talks about your testimony is just you bragging on God. Your testimony is your story, but your testimony isn't about you. Your testimony is about what God has done in you and through you and for you. It's all about God. And so your testimony is something that he gives you. And that's wild to wrap our mind around, that he gives us trials, that he gives us our testimony so that we can bring more glory to him. We can brag on him. We can share about him through our life and through our story. So what testimonies have you been given? Use it. That is a window into your purpose, into what he's calling you to. And here's some just like business advice. Your audience, the people that you're called to serve and to sell to and get them in your courses, programs, retreats, they will never connect with your product, but they will connect with your testimony. They won't connect with what's included. They won't connect with you get this and this and this and join now. But wait, there's more. They'll never connect with that, but they'll connect with a transformation. They'll connect with I was one way and now I'm different. That's what they are going to connect with. They're going to connect with your story, with your testimony. That is going to be the thing that grows your business and ministry and your faith and your life and your influence. So, what can we do now before we quit, before we give up, or if we're in a transition season between, what we're doing versus what we feel called to do next? What can we do? Number one, here are your action steps. Number one, identify your talents, identify your treasures, open your eyes and see the time and the places and the spaces you've been given, what physical things you have. Just open your eyes and just look around and be like, okay, here are my talents. Here's what I've been given. Here's the location on planet Earth that I live. Here's the home that I have, the husband that I have, the kids that I have, the testimonies that I have. Here's here's the 5 talents God has given me. And then ask yourself, how can I be faithful with it? How can I serve God and serve people with what I have today, where I don't have to wait until after the election? I don't have to wait until January 1. Today, what do you have today? And then I want you to look back at the trials and the testimonies in your life and write them down. This is how your audience, your students, your clients are going to connect with you. And if you do know your talents that you've been given and you're ready to multiply them, you're ready to put them to work, you're ready to be a good steward with what he's been given you to support your family, to make money, to serve people, to serve God, I want to invite you to join us in the membership, the Well Done Women membership community. This is literally our mission and why we exist. Our doors open on September 5th. It's for the fall enrollment, but you can join the wait list and get a chance to win a full year's worth of the membership. It's like a $500 value. It's wild. You can go to welldonwomen.com/membership to learn everything that we have in there, to join the wait list. There's all the buttons to join the wait list. Do it. Win the 1 year full, your free membership. And if you're like, Brittany, I don't have the means. I don't have the time. I'm not ready to join the membership. Then just take my free class. Do something is what I'm trying to tell you. Take action. Be faithful with what he's given you. Learn how to steward your talents well, to multiply them through business, through entrepreneurship. Learn how to do it. Take my free class, welldonwomen.com/workshop. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to be confused. You can have a community. You can have a step-by-step path. You don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars like I did to learn this stuff. You can join us in the membership or for free in my workshop. And to wrap this show up, I want to give you a glimpse on what happened after I had to go on bed rest with Bonnie. When I was on bed rest with Bonnie and I had to give up $40,000 worth of weddings, which let me remind you, like they already paid me. I had to give them back their money because it was my fault that I couldn't shoot their wedding. So I had to give up 40 grand. We were still building our house. We were homeless, helpless, big, fat, and on bed rest. Okay. Three under three, potty training. Lord Jesus, help me. Okay. That was the season of life I'm in. If you're with me, say amen. What happened after that was I got this random idea. Maybe I could create a photography one-on-one workshop in bed on my computer for the women at my church. So that's what I did. I dumped out all of the knowledge that I had about photography, what they needed, the gear they needed, what they needed to learn, what they needed to do, how to shoot, lighting, all the things. And I made a presentation. I made a PowerPoint presentation about the stuff that they needed to know. I think I even said that. I'm like, this is just the stuff you need to know to be a photographer, to take decent pictures of your kids so you don't have to spend a ton of money hiring a photographer. So that was the workshop that my very first time I taught what I knew. Very first time I taught what I knew. I knowledge business. I created my very first workshop. I invited the old ladies from a church. They showed up. They paid, I think, $150 to come. We spent all day teaching them. Bonnie was about 6 weeks old at that time. And so I had 3 boys, I had a 6-week-old, and I hosted my very first workshop in the brand new house that I had because I knew my house was almost being done built. And that's what I had. I used my talents. I used my giftings. I curated a space. I had now had a home because I was homeless. I now had a home. And I built first photography one-on-one workshop, which then led to another one, which led to another one, which then led to an online community, which then led to 5 photography courses and a membership program that made me $1 million in 18 months. And I'm not trying to say this to brag. I'm just trying to tell you what God can do when you just give him. I am bragging. I'm bragging on God. I'm trying to tell you what God can do when you just give him what you have. When you identify your talents and your treasure, the stuff that he's given you, the knowledge that he's given you, what brings you joy and fulfillment, the trials. I promise I'm wrapping this up. One of the things that my people connected with me over better photography educators with was the fact that I built a photography business while potty training twins and nursing a newborn. I used that as a part of my testimony because other women were like, man, if she can do this while she's potty training twins and nursing a newborn, maybe I can too. That was the most exhausting trialed season probably thus far in my life, was potty training twins and nursing a newborn. Just y'all imagine that. Just imagine. It was terrible. But I knew that I was called to entrepreneurship. I knew I was called to business, and I just started. So I say all that to say, If you're in this transition and you're like, I'm tired of being on bed rest, what can you do today with the 5 talents that God has given you? He's called you, He's created you for this time, for His purposes, for His plans. I want to encourage you to open your eyes to see it and to use the 5 talents that He's given you right now, today.